Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, DACA to Doctor. I'm gonna start off by giving some announcements first. Um, First of all, my little sister is not here in Yoma, and she is the one who usually helps me set up the camera, make sure everything is working okay. Right now, the tripod is leaning precariously to one position, and so I'm really hoping that I can get through this in one piece. So I don't know why I felt like I needed to say that. It would make me feel better for you guys to know that I'm leaning, the tripod is leaning, everything's out of focus. Just rock with me. I got to get this done today. So that's number one. Number two, Big Sis made these earrings. So she and I both make earrings, but for me, it's more of I kind of just do whatever I feel like when I want to do stuff. So I just do it for fun, but she actually like knows what she's doing and she has molds and stuff like that. So if you would like to see her make more earrings and actually start putting stuff up on an Etsy store, comment below. I've been trying to get her to do that for a long time. So I think that having other people share that would actually help her as well. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be looking. Oh, what a struggle. But I got to do this today because guess what? It's my birthday. Hey. If I can figure out how to insert a drum roll, it'll happen at this point, or like hand clap or something. But it's my birthday. And so to celebrate, it would really, really mean a lot to me if you would subscribe to my channel. So please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Yeah, that's all I want for my birthday is for you guys to subscribe, watch these videos. Let's see, what else do I want to say? Baby sis, I miss you. I remember when I used to say all the time, you got all of these equipment, camera, tripod, GoPro. I just recorded this before and I used the GoPro. It didn't work out because I can't even get this stuff. I put the SD card in. It's not showing up on my camera, on my laptop. I don't know. I don't know what to do, but all of this time, all of these years, I was like making fun of you, and now I'm like, dang it, this stuff is actually really important. All right, y'all, that's me trying to get my nerves out of the way, but I need to do this because it needs to happen. So here we go. Let's get into the meat of why we're actually here. First of all, if you haven't seen my first video, please go ahead and click on that video. Can't remember what it's called, but it's the very first video on my channel, and this is the third one, so it's not going to be hard to find. I'll put the link below, but watch that video first because it'll actually let you understand what I'm talking about and why it was important for me to actually record this video today. So the good news is, I think I got the bad news out of the way, which is that my technology situation right now is subpar. The good news is that I am very hungry right now and I have to go study, so I'm not going to be before you long. I'll get all this information out really quickly. So the purpose of my channel is to inspire or kind of just encourage anyone who is perhaps unsure about how they're going to get into medical school, how they're going to get through medical school, especially if you're someone like me who is under DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And as those of you who are under DACA know, there are a lot of challenges when it comes to doing really anything and everything, but specifically when it comes to schooling and higher education, we have a lot of roadblocks, mainly no's. It's like you can't apply to this, and say you were to apply, the school has the right to not accept you as a student, depending on what state you live in. And then also the biggest issue being getting funding. We don't have federal loans that are available to us. Most states also will not provide funding, especially for higher education. In a lot of schools, it's at their discretion whether or not they want to admit someone who is under DACA and whether they will try to help them figure out a way to pay for school. So one of the things I talked about in my first video was that I got a scholarship to my first year of medical school. And, I was really, really just like thrilled and excited and humbled and grateful and all of that. But I expressed in that video that I was actually really concerned about how the rest of my schooling was going to play out. I didn't know what year 2, 3, and 4 were going to look like. And, a part of me really felt that it might come to a time where I might have to not continue because I had no idea how I was going to pay for the rest of my schooling. And so I wish I could report that I went in faith, fully believing that God would provide just as he had for the first year. I think I said in the first video that I thought I was going to have to, I don't know, sacrifice my third toe, name my first child after Loma Linda. I thought I was going to have to jump through all of these hoops and do all of these things to get a scholarship. But really, truly, I didn't have to do any of that. I prayed a lot. I expressed what I needed to the school. I was very honest and very open about DACA and the fact that, I really wanted to be here and I was committed to this next stage of my life, but I didn't know how I would pay for school until someone stepped up and paid for my first year. And so in light of the fact that God came through in such a miraculous way, you would think that I was like, bet he did it year 1, he gonna do it year 2, 3, and 4. But unfortunately, I was really just racked with a lot of doubt, a lot of just uncertainty and a lot of fear. Understandably so, but honestly to the point of embarrassment for me, just someone who tends to have a lot of faith for other people. When it comes to me, and especially when it comes to DACA, because I've been in this struggle for a long time, for whatever reason, it just always seemed to weaken my faith, almost to the point of no faith. I was just like, maybe things will work out, maybe they won't. I don't know. It was a lot of doubt, a lot of fear. So what ended up happening was I spent majority of my first few months in school, so August, September, October, I think maybe even to November, applying to scholarships online. And while that is advisable, I want to make it a point to say that there are scholarships that are available. There were several that I qualified for and was able to send in applications for. What happened in my case was that it ramped up my anxiety. I spent a lot of time online looking for scholarships that I could apply for. I wrote a lot of essays. Thankfully, that's not something that's really difficult for me, but I wrote a lot of essays. I thought they were really good. I thought I should have got them scholarships, but I didn't get not a one. I did even some video applications. I spent a lot of time on this, guys. And I think for one of them, I believe I don't know if I can say, I don't know if it matters, but for one of the scholarships, which was actually very substantial, I made it to the semifinal stage. And, I felt pretty good about it, but I ended up not getting the scholarship. And so I started to get pretty discouraged. I started to wonder what my future in medical school would look like. And there really wasn't anything for me to do. So I think that's why I was saying it was embarrassing that I was so afraid, because it's like, well, if you don't get a way to pay for school, then you don't continue. Like, that's all there is to it. There was nothing else that I could have done besides what I was doing. And so the point of me worrying was just dumb. Like, one, my options were just believe that it's going to work out like it did for year 1. And yeah, that was really my only option. And then also to just know that if it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to work out, that God had something else in store for me. But I would worry to the point where it actually affected my studying. So yeah, that's kind of that was the state of affairs that I was in. Let's just pause for a moment and talk about school. How has that been going for me? One of the things I've noticed about medical students is that, and I think maybe not just medical students, but a lot of people in general, is that we tend to kind of act like everything is okay. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that we shouldn't wear our burdens on our faces and just, always look like we're struggling with everything. But I think that what ends up happening is that people who do struggle through school or like with the academic portion of things really end up feeling like they are alone. They feel like, man, everybody else is doing well. Why am I not doing well? And so I've made it a point, I've committed to be really open and vocal about the things that have been difficult for me in school. I am that way with my fellow classmates. I am that way on this channel, and going forward, that's something that I will be open about. And even beyond school, I've tried to make it a practice to be as transparent as possible, working on being more vulnerable, but at least being transparent, because I just think that life is best lived in community, and that there are a lot of things that we struggle with that can be better dealt with knowing that there's somebody else that's walking alongside of us, somebody else that is kind of going through the same things that they are. So if you're a first-year medical student or a second-year medical student, or you're hoping to go into medical school soon, or if you are just anybody who's going through struggles, I just want to let you know that when it comes to when it comes to school, for me right now, the struggle has been so real. I have I've not done well, at least by my own definition. It's been really, really difficult. My school has a brand new curriculum that they are working on, and so that has made things challenging. Of course, the pandemic and coronavirus and everything just kind of feeling like it's been a big upheaval. Everything's just changed from what it used to be. All of those things, coupled with the fact that I shared with you guys my journey to get here. I was working a lot, kind of took some classes in the evening, just like, checked off all the boxes, took all the classes that I needed to take without honestly really paying close attention to the fact that I, probably should have been learning these things a lot better than I was. And then even when it came to the MCAT, I didn't take a prep course. I was like, I'm just gonna figure it out. I don't want to say I was doing the bare minimum, but I didn't feel that I didn't want to pay the big bucks for the things that I really needed, basically, because I was so worried about paying for school. So I was like, I need to save money. So I'm just gonna take the double AMC course or practice questions. All I did was practice questions, guys, not advisable. So all of that to say, I was completely ill-equipped, completely ill-equipped for my first year of medical school. I don't know what I'm saying was, hey, maybe that's me believing that, yes, not maybe, I am believing that I'm gonna make it through, but right now am ill-equipped to be here. And things that were review for a lot of people, for me, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So you're like presenting something and then moving right ahead, where I have to like watch YouTube videos, I have to read so much and study so much, and I was just failing. Our foundations class, I failed pretty much every exam. I think probably 90% of the exams that we had, I was so close to passing, but just couldn't make it past the threshold. And so I'm going to end up having to repeat that class in the summer. But as far as my other classes, thankfully, thus far, I've passed, barely, but it's been enough. And yeah, it's painful to admit it, but I just want you to know that if you are currently going through school right now and it's difficult for you, it's possible to keep going. There are other people who are struggling right alongside of you. Everyone is not as smart as they look or seem or sound. A lot of us are doing bad. And you know what's funny? When I was having to remediate one of the exams, I saw a bunch of people. And I really thought I was the only one. So all I'm trying to say is you're not alone. If you're going through struggles right now with school, you're not alone. you're not alone. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to share whatever little information I have as far as getting help, where to go to find study resources. I've reached out to the tutoring center, and I've had to make a lot of changes to the way that I've studied. I'm still making those changes. I'm still learning how to study well and how to manage my time wisely, which has been the biggest struggle for me. So wanted to get that out of the way. Now, the last topic for me is really, again, going back to funding and me being concerned about how I was going to pay for my second, third, and fourth years. We had a couple scholarships that got rolled out that were actually from the school, and I applied for one of them. And the second one, I was looking at it like, I don't know, because there was this line in there that said, we're going to look at your academic performance, and that's going to be a part of our decision making when it comes to the scholarship. And they were also only going to be selecting 12 people. And also, I knew somebody else who's really close to me that was applying for this scholarship, and I was just like, well, homegirl, she got it in the bag because she's smart, and her grades were like banging. And I just thought, well, when I didn't want to compete with her, it was only going to be 12 people. And I was like, if they're choosing 12 people and they're looking at our grades, I'm not going to make it. And I had already applied for the other one. So I really wasn't going to apply for the scholarship. But I remember one day I was standing in my room, and I felt so strongly impressed by, well, it really wasn't like I felt impressed. I felt chastised. I felt the Holy Spirit say to me, why do you feel like you have to be so in control of certain things? Or why are you ruling yourself out of things because you think that it makes sense, like your thought process makes sense, and so therefore you're just going to go with what you think? Why don't you just trust me, apply for the scholarship? And you're worried about competing with your friend, but what makes you think that both of you can't get the scholarship? So I was looking outside my window in my room, and I had this impression so strongly. I felt chastised, really. I don't know how else to phrase it. I just felt like God was like, girl, you need to stop. Apply for this thing. If you get it, good. If you don't get it, you're going to get the other one. If you don't get either of them, it is what it is. But don't limit yourself because you've, counted the cost and gone through the calculations, and you think that it makes sense that you wouldn't get the scholarship, so therefore you're not applying for it. Why would you do that? And also, if you get it, that doesn't rule out your friend from getting it. Let me be God. Let me do it. Let me do it for you. Stop it. So these were all the thoughts that were coming through my head, and I was like, okay, Jesus, I'm gonna apply. So I applied for the scholarship on the very, very last day, filled out all of those essays, and actually made it to the round of interviews. My interview, I didn't feel like it went well. I just didn't think it went well. But fast forward to a few weeks later, I got the scholarship. I think that in my head, saying this, I thought that maybe it was going to be a little bit more dramatic in the way that I revealed it, but I got the scholarship, y'all. I got the scholarship, y'all. And the great thing about it is that the scholarship pays for the rest of my schooling. So year 2, 3, and 4. I don't know. I was going to say year 5. God, please let it be. Let me please just finish on time, please, Jesus. And there wasn't a single part of me that, honestly, as unfortunate as embarrassing as it is to admit this, there wasn't a part of me that really believed that I would get a gift that would be sufficient to pay for the rest of my schooling, that I wouldn't have to worry next year how I would pay for the year after that, that I wouldn't have to really struggle with this thought of how I was going to pay for school for the duration of my time here. I really, really wish I could say that I just believed and I had strong faith. I talked to a couple other people who got the same scholarship, and one of them was saying, I knew I was going to get it. You know, God told me. I interviewed and I felt good about it. And I'm happy to report that my friend who I was worried about got the scholarship as well. She and I were the two people I knew who were completely dependent on getting this gift to be able to continue in school. So God worked that out for both of us. And she also said, I had a feeling. I prayed and I believed and I left it up to God. And I remember thinking, wow, like I just really, really need to do better as far as believing God when he tells me something. And I just felt so unworthy, felt really, I don't want to say ashamed. I think that's a strong word, but I just felt like I know better. God has brought me through so much. The fact that I'm here now after praying to be in medical school for so long has really just been a testimony of God's provision. And the fact that I got to go to my number one school, didn't have to move. I'm in my own house, in my own bed, with all of the people that love me. Just the way everything worked out, and now that I have school completely paid for, it really has not been because I've been faithful and just like have done everything right and I've been righteous, and like that has not been my testimony. It really has not been. And so I wanted to get on here to talk to somebody who is dealing with doubt as I have and as I currently struggle with. Someone who perhaps feels like their lack of faith and their doubt might stand in the way of God answering their prayers. Listen, y'all, I'm not a theologian. Hopefully what I'm about to say is actually biblically sound, but I'm learning that God is faithful even when I'm not. And his mercies and his nature, which is that of grace, is not contingent on my behavior. It's not contingent on the amount of faith I have. It's not because of my faithfulness that he's faithful. He's faithful because he's faithful. He loves me because he loves me, not because I love him back or because I serve so well or I'm so kind to people. Like that has nothing to do with anything. He causes the rain to shine on the just and the unjust. He will shower down his blessings on those who deserve it and those who don't. And when you really think about it, none of us really are deserving of anything good. It really is just by the mercies of God. And so I just want to encourage whoever it is that might be listening to this and you have something that you're praying for and you are not sure how to keep praying because you don't really believe, and everyone around you and everything keeps telling you that you have to come boldly before God and have faith and believe, and that's how you get your prayers answered. And that's really just not true. I mean, I think of biblical stories where we learn about people who for example, Abraham and David, right? Like God was like, I just really love them dudes. And he was attributing righteousness to them when they were so ratchet. Like they kept doing dumb stuff. But the one thing they had was that childlike faith that the scriptures talk about. It's not because they just like fully believed that everything was going to be taken care of. It was the fact that they were vulnerable before God, that they were persistent in their prayers, that they just would bring their good, their bad, their ugly. They would bring their sinfulness before God. And that was what was constant for them, was like just always talking to God, always sharing what their struggles were with God, especially David, just very vulnerable and very open. And so that's what I've learned throughout this time, is that even though oftentimes when I come before God in prayer, I have a lot of doubt, and again, it's embarrassing. To whom else should I take my doubts and my fears? Like there's no other way for me to overcome all of this unless it's through him. I wasn't supposed to come on here and preach, y'all, but it's just been sitting so heavy on me that I don't deserve this blessing if we're looking at it through the lens of, did you have the faith? Did you believe? Did you do all the right things? I applied at the last minute. I really wasn't sure I was going to get it. I spent all of my time operating in fear and doubt, and God saw it fit to still give me the scholarship. So I think that, again, it just is a testament to his faithfulness and his love and favor, and also the prayers and the belief of those around me, those who love me. But my gift that I want to give to you guys is just to stay persistent, put yourself in a position to receive the blessing, even if you don't know that it's coming, and even if you don't fully believe that it will come. Put yourself in that position and be vulnerable before God. Let him know. You don't have to try to have your ducks in a row. You don't have to try to have the right words to pray. You don't have to find the right person to pray for you. God loves you. God sees you. God hears you, and he will answer. So I hope this has been helpful for someone. Thank you for rocking with me through this journey. There will be more updates to come. And yeah, I should say that on April the 1st, 2019, I wrote down a list of 4 things that I was believing God for, that I was praying for, even the things that I wasn't sure how they were going to happen. It wasn't like I had all of this faith, so I wrote these 4 things down. But I wrote down 4 things and just kind of put it up on my wall, and I see it every day, and I pray about it. And number 1 on the list was April 1st, 2019. Number 1 on the list was medical school for free, ! And when I wrote that down, it just seemed so like audacious and so bold, because what I really wanted to write was, God, find a way for me to get through medical school, find a way for me to like get a loan or be able to pay for it through my savings, and like just help me figure it out. But what I ended up writing was what seemed the most impossible for me and the craziest idea, which was medical school for free. And I wrote that, and it's been sitting on my wall for almost 2 years now, and it happened, and it's happening, and I'm just floored, humbled, grateful, all the things. So happy to walk with you through your faith journey as well, if that's something that you're in need of. I have a few people who are DACA recipients, or even just in the process of applying, that have emailed me, and we've had conversations about how I got to this point, and just kind of given them ideas. You guys are welcome to keep doing that. That's the whole point of this channel. And if you have any thoughts or any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I only do this because of that. Someone asked me at one point, when I finally revealed I had DACA, do you feel better? Like, did you feel like a weight was taken off of you because you shared? And honestly, no, because I have people that I share with. I have people that hold me accountable, that pray with me, that are a significant part of my life, and I'm open and vulnerable with them. So I don't have the slightest desire or need to get in front of a camera and, talk to the world, as it were, and share details about my life. Like, that's not something that brings me any kind of joy. Matter of fact, it took a lot for me to do this. I kept finding reasons not to do it. So the only reason I'm doing this is because God put it on my heart to share when he did come through with these specific promises, that I promised him that I would let the world know that God did it, that this was all Jesus, it's not me. And I was tempted to wait until, after school, like after I'm done, I get up and be like, okay guys, here's what happened. Here's how it all happened. And, it can happen for you too. But I just kept feeling impressed that I needed to start now, that I needed to have people see my process, the ups and the downs, and that there's somebody who needed to hear the story today. And so on the great occasion of my birthday, I'm sharing my story, and there will be more to come. All right, that's it. The next time you see a video uploaded on this channel, which you have subscribed to at this point, right? It will be the beginning of a new series, which I am so thrilled about. I will be interviewing medical students and residents and attending physicians about their journeys. So they'll be coming with expert advice. They'll be coming with just information about their different specialties. And when I tell you guys, I cannot wait for you to be a part of what I've already had the privilege of experiencing so far, and the people that are to come. I promise you it's going to be great. Again, if this video is not for you, if you're watching this because you love me and you just want to support me, that's fantastic. But please share with somebody, whether they are on their path to medical school or a current student or in any profession, or even just a young person who has DACA, a student in your school who just really has no idea what it means to even conceive of pursuing a higher degree with DACA. Please share this with them. That's the whole point of this channel. And that is all. I will see you guys soon. Until then, take care. Happy birthday to me.